What's up, my mathletes? This is Ms. Muscarella coming at you, and I'm going to show you a shortcut, a smaller, a quicker way to find reference angles without actually having to sketch them. All right, so we're going to take a look at these ones in degrees here, because those we will always pick up quickest. Now, take a moment, make sure you pause the video, jot these pieces down, find the reference angles without sketching the given angle. We're going to do these four together in degrees first. Now, when you go around the unit circle, traditionally it's like, all right, you got 0, then you go to 90, then 180, 270, up to 360, and you keep going around by adding quantities of 90 to get to the quadrantal angles, from one quadrantal angle to the next. Now, one of the things you want to do with that is we're just going to look at the x-axis only the x-axis. All right, so we're going to start with 0, and underneath 0, I want you to write the value. If we did one full revolution, that would be 360 degrees. If we did another revolution from that space, we would end up with 720 degrees. So that's kind of like we went around once, we got 360. We went around again, all the way, and then we got 720. If we went around one more time, then we would get 1080, and you get the idea. Okay. Now, underneath the 180 value, same thing, same idea with that. We're just starting from a little different spot. But if we started here at 180 and went all the way around, we would still add 360. So beneath 180, I want you to write 540 because that's 180 plus 360. And then if we went around again, then that would add another 360 to that, which is 900. And if you went around one more time, you'd get another 360 added to that, which would be 1260. So you get the idea. You get the idea on that. So we're going to use these values right underneath each one of those two columns to help us figure out some reference angle pieces here. Now, check this out, right? We're going to have this negative 340. And what we need to determine is which one of those numbers in the column is negative 340. So we're going to ignore the negative sign. Which one is that closest to? Which value is that closest to? And remember, for reference angles, it has to be positive and it has to be between 0 and 90. So you can never get a negative answer. So when we go to set this up, here's how I want you to make sure that you write your work. So we're going to have theta prime equals, now I want you to write the absolute value bars, okay, because it's always going to be the positive distance from the angle to the x-axis. Now, in this case, the value that is closest to negative 340, if I ignore the negative sign, the value that's closest to that would be 360. 360. So 360 is closest to 340. So all we're going to do is do 360 minus 340. And when we do that, we get a value of 20 degrees. And that's it. So that's how you find the reference angle for negative 340, because it would be 20 degrees away. So if you were to think about sketching that, right, you would come all the way around. Now remember, negative angles are going to go around this way. And then that's where our terminal side would stop. But our goal is to get back all the way down, down the x-axis, and that would be another 20 degrees to get all the way down to the horizontal x-axis where 360 is. All right, so that's kind of the thinking behind it. Now let's take a look at number 2 here. Now we're going to take a look at negative 240. And if I think about negative 240, if I were to sketch it, so negative 240, right? Negative 240, so I'd go around negative 180, and it'd be somewhere up here in quadrant number 2. And I got to figure out how many degrees do I have to go to get back down to negative 240, or from negative 240 to the x-axis. So when I look at negative 240, I've only gone kind of once around, so the value that's closest to that would be 180. So again, when we go ahead and write that, we'll write theta prime equals, now again, absolute value bars around it, so if you do 180 minus 240, that will give you the correct value of 60 degrees. Because 180 minus 240 is negative 60, but then when you take the absolute value of that, you end up with 60. So theta prime, our reference angle, would be 60 degrees. So 60 degrees. So go ahead and try these next two on your own, numbers 3 and number 4. Why don't you find the reference angles for those two values and come back, check it out, and see how you did. All right, peoples, how did we do with these two? Hopefully you got them both right. Now, one of the things I want you to notice is the very first number, right? 360 in example 1, 540 in example 2, 360 again in example 4, and 180. Those are going to be these values right here that we wrote in our two columns, right? So you're going to put that value first, and then you're just going to subtract whatever the angle is, but be sure to put the absolute value bars around that. Now, here's where some people might make a mistake, right? Like, so say number 4, for example. If you were to write that like this, so this would be incorrect. If you wrote theta prime equals 360 minus 415, and say, oh, well, yeah, that's just 55. Because your brain is saying, oh, okay, yeah, I know it's got to be positive, so you just subtract that. This is what's called a linkage error. Because you're saying these two statements are equal, and they most certainly are not. Because the answer, the result that you would get if you subtracted 415 from 360 is not positive 55. That'd be negative 55. So make sure the way to avoid that is to put the absolute value bars around it. So I'd rather have them and not need them than need them and not have them. Key idea right there. All right, so that's how you do those guys right there. Now we'll come back and we'll do some with the radians here. We'll do some radian ones in the next video. So be sure to check that out if you're a little sketch on that part. All right, thank you guys for watching this one, man. Hopefully that clears up some of that, makes it a little bit easier for you. But make sure you also do know how to sketch an angle properly. All right, man, I'll catch up with you guys later. Peace out.